but I didn't know.
Right.
I wasn't trying to.
As with everything, you unknowingly ruin it.
Yep.
And here we go.
I was about to go really dark with that joke. Because I do.
Because that's what you do. Happy Wednesday, everybody.
I got so confused there for half a second.
I
Did
thought
you see
might.
it?
I thought
Did you see
might.
the light leave my eyes?
I
Where
did.
I was just like,
it's not.
well, just with the weather and everything, the way our schedules have been.
Right. And
I've been so, and the kids not, for me, the kids not being in school, I have no idea what day it is. I have no idea what time it is, what century it is.
Does anybody
I'm
really
just,
know what time it is?
I was like, yeah.
Does
The
anybody
actual,
really care
it's like, well,
about time?
make your day, your month,
Or
even
your
your
year. Two different lyrical references.
Wow.
Yeah, so happy Wednesday. Welcome back to another fun and fact-filled episode of the Tucker and the Beard program.
I know. We're about to geek out.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Rarely have I hated an episode of ours.
Okay.
But I hated last week's episode.
Really?
Yeah.
See, it's all a blur.
It brought back bad memories.
Okay. Well, let's address this.
It didn't sound great. It didn't look great.
Let's address this. Because every once in a while I say some things and I was like, but I don't want to. I also have the problem of I've said the same, probably told the same stories.
Probably.
Numerous jokes like, my mom got a FUBU sweatshirt. And it's
Right.
like, listen, we've heard this 5 times.
Right.
But it always does, so I forget things that I say to try and correct, but every once in a while I'll get called out and go, is this what you're... And I was like, yeah, probably didn't sound the way that I meant for it to.
Right.
But...
No, it just... I didn't enjoy the going back to Zoom.
Oh, see, I even forgot that we did it.
Yeah. And so I
literally had
didn't
blocked
care
it out.
for it. I didn't care for it.
I didn't either. And that was because I think we got cut off.
Well, and we kind of got out of practice in
of
doing it.
That. Yeah.
Also, bad weather affects internet connectivity. So there was a lot of just choppiness.
Well, I know we were kind of joking about a couple things, and I was like, I made a joke about The Great Gatsby, which I found out later what the movie was.
Okay.
And then you go, it's kind of like that one movie with
and I heard none of the joke.
And I was like, that's literally what I said.
I'm like, cool story, bro.
Here's a dumb lollipop.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought about it afterwards. I was like, it's Great Gatsby. It's the book, and
had I actually
heard
the context of your jokes last question, I would have been able to answer that for you.
Right. Well, it's
right then and there, but I didn't because I couldn't. And yeah.
Listen, speaking of somebody that sometimes has connectivity problems, I had the same thing where it was like your audio cut out, and so I just yeah. That was good.
So it just I didn't love it. It's very.
I had blocked it out.
I almost, when I was going back and editing and doing the best I could with it, I almost said, "Sorry guys, bad weather. We didn't get to make it this week."
Which I think people would have understood. We put a lot of pressure on ourselves.
I know.
To be here every week.
We do.
At the same Tucker and the Beard time. Same Tucker and the Beard channel.
Tired today. Me
too.
We were talking about this earlier. I came down with a severe case.
You made me really nervous when I came in the office and you're like, I came down with this, and I was like, dude, it's not the time to come in. Like, if you're sick, stay home, dude.
Yeah. No, I came down with a severe case yesterday afternoon of I don't wanna.
Yeah.
And I thought maybe I could sleep it off. And I did not do that thing.
And I'm going to repeat the story that I kind of said to you, that it was my past profession,
right?
Law enforcement. When it was inclement weather, it was the worse the weather, the harder my job was about to be.
Right.
And so for a long time, I hated it when it rained or
and
snowed.
I understand, yeah.
And so now it takes a lot. Was that me or you?
No, it was both of us. You'll get the message eventually.
Oh, okay.
It was an email from the office.
Ruh-roh.
We've been called into the principal's office again.
Probably. No, but so now whenever it's raining or, weather, I get a really bad case of the I don't want to. And so last week, the week before, no, I don't even know. No, it was Monday. We didn't do this show.
No,
when we normally do.
Yeah,
we
because the weather got bad and we're like, we should go home before it gets worse. Yeah. And I did go home, and you chose not to.
Yeah.
And
I was like, should I tell that story? I literally blocked out last week
shenanigans
so badly that I don't need to tell that story because I told it last week. Yeah. But I did post about it yesterday on thing listen, again, minor taillight damage,
not a big deal,
not bad at all. But I had posted for my Safety Sunday yesterday.
Just because you can drive in the snow.
Just because you can drive in the snow doesn't mean that other people can't, which, is the funny part. I was not taking into account that people would be very, very concerned. Right. Like, I look at that and I'd be like, oh, man, that
stinks.
If you would have sent me that picture, I'd be like, oh, man.
Almost.
That stinks. But people were like, are you guys okay? Like, yeah, man. Like, I'm literally posting this picture, so...
Personally, I've seen on your vehicles shopping carts do more damage than that moving truck did.
This is very true.
So,
and again, I don't know if I've told this story or not, but the summarized version of my old car that I had purchased was a smaller car. It's a Pacifica, and so when we found out that we were having a third child, it instantly became one of those times of our car is now too small.
Right.
Because of car seats and multiple kids in car seats, like it just
doesn't work.
It just doesn't work. So we had switched cars with my parental unit, because it was just them, and I took the van. They took the Pacifica. A little while later, it was like, hey, we can switch back now. That's the kids are old enough. We can make this work, and we have a separate car and. Got into this, and I got it back, and it had entered the demolition derby.
There's a big dent.
Multiple.
But the big one was on the back gate.
Yeah, the back lift gate, which was a few feet off the ground. I mean, it was...
Yeah. It was below the window on the lift gate, but just.
Right. And the funniest part of it was... And there was a huge dent on the side, the passenger side.
Yes.
When questioned about this, my female parental unit had stated that a shopping cart had hit the car. And listen, you don't want to call your mom out too much and be like,
nuh-uh.
Yeah, like, I flat out was just like, but it's not. Because there was actually, in the dent was tire tread. Which I don't know. I mean, I don't claim to be a shopping cart specialist.
But they don't have mud tires on them.
Yeah, and they don't.
They're not that tall. They don't
cause the damage. Listen, the cart would have been going at least 100. Going downhill. Like, I don't know. There would have had to be a lot of factors. We've had these kind of different conversations of...
We can get into the physics of how a shopping cart could... create that size of a dent in the rear lift gate of a Chrysler Pacifica.
Right.
But we're not gonna.
Yeah, we're not, just because it didn't happen. It didn't happen.
I'll take things that didn't happen for 500 Alex.
I was like, Ken, too soon? Sorry. That's a hard one. It's a hard pill to swallow. But anyways, that's the short shopping cart story. So you were nice enough to comment under my Jeep, my lifted Jeep,
getting hit by a shopping cart.
Getting hit by a shopping cart. I was cry laughing on that one.
It was too good of an opportunity to pass up.
So yes, I'm sorry. I know
that it took me as long as it did for me to put those pieces together.
I posted that thing and I didn't even think once, and I was a little like,
Well, because you showed me a picture of the accident without context or much context.
Earlier after
on
it happened,
Monday, like right after it happened,
right.
And then we kind of talked about it a little bit more on Tuesday.
Yes. Which I told the other story that happened from that
Sunday.
day.
It was all the way to Sunday.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I remember when Tucker's mom backed into a shopping cart.
Yeah. And or didn't. Yes. Yeah, no, I told the other thing about last week. Listen, we keep this show PG-ish.
Yeah.
And in telling the story, because there was no real way to get around it last week, but I felt bad.
You dropped a language bomb,
which was part of it,
because it was part of the story,
and I couldn't quickly on my feet think of another expression, word that would be better.
True.
That would fit. Like, I still can't. And I'm a pretty imaginative guy.
You are.
But I couldn't think it. So if I offended anyone, I'm sorry.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did either. I think everybody kind of understood how the word sleds got changed into something else.
Right.
But it was a weird day for me. Last week was weird.
Obviously, one of the commitments that we made at the beginning of this show was it's got to be clean enough for our kids to listen to.
Right.
And then as time has gone by, I have met people out in the wild who tell me that their kids listen to the show as well.
Right. I've met
several of them.
I've met a few fans with kids, and they love it, and
And so to me, then it became also the greater good responsibility to make sure that we produce a clean show that's entertaining, but you trust us enough to let your kids listen to us, and we take that seriously. That. We do.
So,
but I don't think that anyone was offended, and I don't think you crossed any of those trust barriers last week, because.
And I was like, I said it once, and then moved along.
My only question is,
okay.
So oftentimes, autocorrect is adaptable.
Right.
And it will recommend frequently used words.
You know me well enough to know that this is not
why true. Are you using that word so much?
It is which is not the case at all. I was like, you know me well enough to know, like, that's not
right. Listen, I don't
frequent language is
yeah. That was
for the most part.
That was the fun. Yeah, my phone still. Never mind. Yes. I will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna plead the fifth.
Yeah. No, last week was just weird.
So it was a weird week. It was
weird show. Weird.
It was the weather was great.
Yes.
Last week,
but I'm over it.
We desperately needed all of that snowfall.
Yes.
I personally took it upon myself to test the capabilities of the Beardmobile.
You did?
I did. So it started on Monday. We've got a big kind of dirt field in the vicinity of our home. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to start there. Snow's deep. Let's see how it handles itself. In that dirt field, there's some trails.
Right. Some other people had been out there.
But the kids were using those trails as sled runs.
Okay.
Because there's a couple that are, good downhill runs. So I was being courteous and chose to leave those trails for the kids.
Right.
And so that was kind of step one. And it's pretty uneven terrain, but it's not bad at all.
Okay.
And so I was like, okay, check. The next day, we went a little more hard in the yard, though. Mm-hmm. So we went way out on a dirt road. Well, it's a road that turned to dirt. It's paved. And we were For the locals around here, it's Perkinsville Road out in Chino Valley. We went about 9 miles out Perkinsville Road.
Wow.
And the goal for that day was, well, let's just find a hill, like a good steep hill.
Okay.
And we'll make a sled run out of it.
Okay.
So I saw a hill to my left and said, I'm turning here. And just went, I have no idea what's under the snow. I have no idea
That's
whatsoever.
always a concern. Yeah.
And so that was the bigger test, drop it in a 4 low and see what happens.
Right.
Worst case scenario, we're out there for a while we wait for somebody with a chain to come tug us out, and it's not the end of the world.
Right.
She did fine.
Right.
The next day, I was like, I'd really like to go up into the national forest and get some aerial footage of the forest in the snow. Because that's pretty.
Right.
So I do that thing, and hindsight is always 20/20. But
we've talked about this before because there's as far as me and the story that you're about to tell, there's an extra layer of funny.
Of stupidity on my part.
Because before I knew this story, I had seen this place.
Right.
And in my lifted Jeep, I chose
not to go there.
Not to go there.
And see, I saw this area, and there was a City of Prescott vehicle in this area.
Right.
That was obviously stuck.
Right.
However, it was a pickup truck.
I know this.
It was 2-wheel drive. So I figured, I'm not a pickup truck. I've got more weight on the back of my vehicle.
Right.
I have 4-wheel drive. I'm better than him.
Okay.
Them. I don't know if it was a him or a her that was driving the vehicle.
Them.
I'm better than them. I can do this.
Right.
And for the most part, I did. So
you got in.
I got in. There was some tracks in the snow there, deep ones. So
it was deep snow, by the way.
It was.
Like I pulled up and I was like,
"Dang, son, yeah." It was foot plus deep snow.
Right.
But I have more than 12 inches of ground clearance.
Right.
And there were already ruts in the snow.
Right.
So all is well. So I pull in. I get the footage that I desire. It looks great.
It did, by the way.
And so then I looked in front of me because it was kind of like a turnaround area.
Right. There's normally like a hiking, like a little parking area. Yeah.
And so I look at the tracks in front of me and I go, ooh, those stop before they get to the road. I will go backwards the same way that I came in. And what happened was the ice and the snow shifted a little bit and it kicked me out of those ruts. And then there was just hard ice underneath both front and rear wheels of my vehicle.
Yes.
So I thought to myself, well, you done did it. This is the limit. You found the limit.
Yeah.
It's foot deep snow on top of mud.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes. But you didn't call me.
I didn't.
That's all right.
I followed the standard.
You went the lug nut rule. You called for the bigger vehicle. I'm not mad about that.
First of all, I pay for roadside assistance.
Right.
Now I am not the only idiot who was stuck that day.
Right.
So
they're out and about.
They were going to take almost 5.5 hours to get to me. And I was like, well, that simply won't do.
And because I've been thinking about this. Okay. I don't know if I've ever I'm going to go past profession here for just a minute. And my whatever statement.
Right.
I'm running a blank. Be careful with roadside assistance, AAA, especially. Mm-hmm. Their dispatch centers are not here.
Correct.
Places like AAA and stuff are like out of Florida.
Right.
So it is not uncommon that they go, hey, they look at a map and go, they're just outside of Phoenix.
Right.
And they will go, hey, there's a tow truck coming out of Phoenix to come.
Well, that's
stupid, what.
But yes.
But I'm just saying,
yeah.
you got to, when you call for roadside assistance, you need to be very clear.
Right.
That you are a good, hour plus.
Right.
Hour and a half, 2 hours from, and in snow. So that's probably what they're like, yeah, one will be there in about 5 hours.
No, well, so they had tried to get a local person, then they have their own contractors.
Right.
And so I was like, so they're not going to get to you for, 5.5 hours. I'm like, that's not going to work for me. So, but if you call, you'll have to pay them out of pocket, and then we'll reimburse you. Right. And I was like, okay, I could do that. But then I remembered that our friend and business partner has a very large truck.
Rockstar Realty Group.
Yeah. Our friend Josh has a very big truck.
Yes.
That is also 4-wheel drive and has even more ground clearance than either of our vehicles, which have
good
great ground clearance.
Yes. It would go yours, mine.
Yeah, you have an inch or two
Josh's.
more than I do, and then Josh has a foot on either of us.
Right.
So
very lifted truck.
Yeah. So I call him, and he's like, yeah, I can be there in about an hour. He had some work to do, understandable. So I was like, cool. I'll just chill here for a while. I was watching some YouTube videos.
Right. And it's kind of one of those things you wish you would have then been able to get the drone footage after.
Right.
Like, well, while I'm sitting here.
Yeah. Well, I thought about it, but I was like, I'll just chill. And as I'm sitting there, I can kind of feel the ice shifting some more, because I had done my best at that point to try and get out.
Right.
And so I felt the ice shifting because, when tires spin on ice, it creates heat, and that melts ice. In case you didn't know.
Yeah.
Physics.
Yes.
So about, 20, 30 minutes had gone by. I was like, I'm going to try some more. And I did. And it turns out if I just followed the tracks that didn't end, like the tracks that didn't make it,
right,
my truck would have actually made it to the road.
Right.
Because it did make it to the road. So it took me some time.
Took a little bit of maneuvering.
Had to wait for some additional snow melt to occur and things of that nature. But I was able to get it out unassisted.
Look at you, man.
So it wasn't quite the limitations of the Beardmobile.
Okay.
But she's due for some new parts here coming very soon.
Gotcha.
And it's the kind of parts that you could absolutely replace them with exactly what came on the vehicle. But for about the same price.
You can update.
I can make it stronger. Faster.
Okay. Will it be faster?
Could be.
All right. Fair enough.
Less economical to drive all the way around.
I tried not to drive around too much, but
no.
I ended up, you and I both, listen, my new toy has been this little,
it's basically been
little deep
parrot on your shoulder for weeks.
Little parrot on my shoulder that I've had the opportunity. I've sent my new drone up to get aerial photos and video. So it was absolutely gorgeous, like you said. So I was sending it out as much as possible. But yeah, no, there was one day where I drove past that same thing and I go, that snow is really deep. And the city of Prescott truck was like stuck there. And I go, yeah, I'm not gonna push it.
And you and I had different thoughts.
And then I go, okay, I'll take the next turn into the lake, which was closed.
Gated off, yeah.
So I went down the road a little bit before I pulled on a little paved road.
Mm-hmm.
I felt kind of mean because it wasn't... Listen, as you and I both know, there's a lot of areas around here that the roads are not busy.
Right.
It is... nothing. So I turned on the thing, and it's about one car, maybe a little bit more. I was like, there's no one. Send it up.
Go. Yeah.
And as I was kind of landing it, I did have a couple cars that were going around me. But it was, I got some great footage this week. So did you. Yeah. I don't know.
It was good. I like the snow.
I do, but I'm ready.
Personally.
I
would take more of it. I would take the same storm.
Yeah.
Like 2 weeks from now, no problem. It'd be great.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like 2 weeks. I'm like, give me a little bit for.
Yeah, I mean, I got some work. I
got to get some things done, and I think that was more my case because I didn't really want to go out, and my wife, my family didn't really want me going out, especially after.
You were assaulted by a moving truck. Can we talk about
that? It was a moving truck. What we do for a living, it was just a little bit of humor, like
right.
And it was a moving truck, but that's my dad joke out of it.
There was a little bit of poetry in that. For sure.
It was humorous, but I've seen
this is the humorous. It's right here.
Well played. I've seen many bad collisions in my time.
I know you have,
and so I can look at what happened to me and just like, well. Believe me, it could have been far worse. And, yeah. And move along with my day. Save that guy's job.
Right. Because, at the end of the day, it didn't cost you that much.
No, it was, and I got a really, really good mechanic client of mine. And so it was a couple days, and it was... You can go out and look at it now, and you'd never be able to tell. So, out of all things, it was fine. I thought it messed up my whole...
It sounded probably way worse.
It sounded worse, and then, yeah. Anyways, but then came Friday. Should we get into it? You're off and doing something else.
Let's get into it.
I was like, you were doing some work. I know you well enough to know that.
No. There was an interesting.
I was like, you got a work message.
So let's get into. Let's talk about Wanda.
Yes.
Let's talk about
WandaVision.
What is happening here? It's all Wanda.
Yes. Well, I don't know. So there's some different things.
This episode was
which by the way, we've been doing like a Friday night kind of movie thing, but only with WandaVision,
right?
Which was nice. So my youngest daughter, at the ripe age of 9, has watched the past episodes because they're fun. They're
right,
older style and stuff like that. And for 98% of this episode was fine.
Okay.
There was a moment.
There was a moment. I think I know the moment that you're referring to.
Yeah, because I sent you a very funny text in regards because you had texted me when this moment happened.
Yeah.
Like,
whoa.
You were like, head explosion. And I go, yeah. When my 9-year-old daughter saw that same scene, unexpected.
Right.
It was scary.
Right.
And so she was like scared she was going to be having nightmares over that one. And so it was just like, hey, it's a television show. This is what, but this was, so this show, and I've said it before, we've talked about it before, it's very Lost-esque.
I can see
like a spring,
that. I can see that parallel.
Yeah,
for sure.
Listen, it has a sprinkle. It's just a reminder to me of what Lost used to do. And each episode is like, you have 20 questions.
Right.
They get asked. They'll answer one. And then the next episode, they'll answer one of those and ask 20 more for each question, So it's a whole lot of questions at this point. But this episode 4 out of 9, there's going to be 9 episodes total. This is episode 4. They just came in answering
A lot of questions.
Yeah. They made it to episode 4. And so I'm always trying to be careful because I'm like, not trying to spoil anything.
But also, it's Wednesday.
And it's Wednesday, and like you should be watching this show.
Right.
And it's a different kind of show.
Yeah, so if you're the type who's going to wait 9 weeks and binge the whole series,
right,
you should have turned off our show 5 minutes ago. Sorry.
Yeah.
We've already spoiled a little bit, but...
Well, and not so much. I was trying to be careful, and I'm always, whenever we're talking about any kind of review or anything, I always try and be like, hey.
But we expect that...
Darth Vader's his dad.
Right.
Sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Sorry.
Goodness. No, so this, finally the show feels like, there have been like little sprinkles of Marvel.
This was the most Marvel looking.
This one felt more Marvel.
Yeah. And
they're bringing it around.
Took place completely outside of the bubble?
The dome? The whatever.
I don't know if it's a dome. I don't know if it's a square. I don't know.
Right.
I have a theory.
Okay.
That I'll get to in just a minute. Okay. Because I could be wrong of how this is going to play out.
All right. I'm listening.
But, so, essentially, again, if you're still here, you've watched it. What's happened is there's been an alternate reality.
Yes. So
the same as I was kind of reading it. I can't remember her character's name. Kat Dennings.
Yes.
Darcy.
Yes.
Sorry. Shows up as a specialist. They bring in. They find out. Sorry, I'll back up a little bit.
She's a doctor now.
Yeah, she's.
So she's not a. She's not a lab assistant any longer. She is.
Yeah. So time frame wise,
advanced her education.
Yeah. Time frame wise, this show takes place before Far From Home.
Yes.
It is 3 weeks after Endgame.
Yes.
It is 3 weeks. Yeah. Post Endgame. And so everything's still kind of new.
Right.
But the daughter of Photon,
right,
in Captain Marvel, I don't know her real name, but she is now. So the little girl that was in Captain Marvel is now grown up, and she is. When we first met her, she works for SWORD, which is the new Shield, the space equivalent.
Yeah, it's SHIELD, but they handle.
Yes.
Space.
Shield.
Sword. It all works.
But she, when we first introduced her, she was a character inside of the show.
Right. And so we have a little bit of a rewind to the happenings in the first 3 episodes.
Right.
And we have that timeline now in a single episode where Monica...
Yeah. At the end of episode 3,
pushes her way in.
Yeah, she is talking to Wanda and says some things about Ultron killing her brother. Wanda gets upset by this and
forcefully removes
her from the town.
Right.
Which she goes through this bubble, seemingly force field around this town.
Right.
So this episode starts with kind of rewinding a little bit to when Monica showed up.
Right.
And then to also the FBI agent from Ant-Man.
Yep.
Who was awesome.
Jimmy Woo.
Who's also a comic book character. But I started cracking up when he did the sleight of hand trick.
Yeah.
Which is from Ant-Man, that he was all about the...
Mm-hmm.
And they find out. And Monica gets sucked into this bubble of this town that doesn't exist.
And but even before... we now see where so many things were explained.
Right.
Right. So where did the toy helicopter come from? Well, it was just re-imaged to look like an old toy, but what it really was a drone.
Right.
that Monica had flown into
Right.
the bubble to try and
Find
just
out
see what was happening.
Right. Then there was also another sword agent that was in a hazmat suit.
And the hazmat suit, because those didn't exist in the time period of the show, turned into a beekeeper's suit.
Right. But then at that same time, Wanda, as soon as she saw it, she
said no, and she just rewound time.
She's, yes, a professional editor. She's editing the show as it's going along. But Darcy, Kat Denning's character, shows up as a doctor and finds out that there is cosmic waves that are happening that are similar to the Big Bang.
So and
when
those
the universe
waves,
was created.
Right. Well, and those waves, though, I found interesting, are the same things that would cause, back in the old days where cable wasn't around,
Right.
that same type of energy,
Right.
that same radio frequencies and disruption is what would cause static
Right.
on an old school TV broadcast.
Okay.
So Wanda is broadcasting inside of static, essentially.
Right.
Which I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so
That's deep.
And we still don't.
Though,
yeah.
so.
No. That's awesome. But it's like it was fine. What I found interesting is that they flat out said it, but it just took me a little bit to get it. That it's the radiation, the waves, the cosmic waves that are in there, are the creation of the universe, like the same things. So she's, in my opinion, she's created her own. It's more than a show. She's created her own reality, her own universe inside of this.
Well, and there's
bubble.
this, and it's a real place. You can physically see it.
Right, but people around there
their mind has been erased.
Right.
You know, we see Jimmy and Monica talking to some local police officers
About Westview, the town of Westview.
and he's like, there is no town of Westview.
Yeah.
Literally standing underneath the sign that says "Welcome to Westview."
Right.
And they're like, well, where are you guys from? And they're from Eastview.
Right. But there is no Westview.
But there is no Westview. So it's like this 5-mile amnesia bubble.
Right. And the people that live there are still there. There's 3,000 residents of this town. And so it's just big. So my theory... and kind of, sorry, before I get there. So Darcy is able to connect a TV, an older TV.
Yeah.
And they are able to watch the show until they, get that, see what's going on, that it is a sitcom. But they see the edited versions.
Right.
It's this little blip, and they see the edited version when those scenes happen that we've seen. So kind of us as viewers, it's kind of cool because we're watching the same show that the agents of S.W.O.R.D. are now seeing.
Are now watching.
But we're seeing the unedited versions.
Right.
But I think because, again, we've said it numerous times, this is going to lead into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And also the Spider-Man 3, which is to deal with the multiverse, which the multiverse is multi-layers of realities.
Yeah.
There's...
an infinite number of other dimensions that are
exactly
parallel to our
Tucker
own.
and the Beard are doing
the same thing somewhere else.
Right.
But
they're just different versions of...
Yeah. And so the other interesting thing, because we're going into the comic book lore now, is the same stone that powered Vision also gave Wanda her powers.
Right.
Which is, and those stones were created in the Big Bang.
Right.
So there's just it's going in some really cool directions to see, and I think the only thing we don't know yet. So the part of my theories that are still a little wishy-washy, a little unverified yet,
right,
is whether or not Wanda has created this bubble to protect herself,
right,
or whether maybe Shield or another organization has created this bubble to protect the rest of us.
Right. I have a theory. I don't. Okay,
Because
so
Wanda
two theories.
is
Yeah.
in fact the most powerful character
Yeah.
in the MCU.
So I think that she has something to do with it by her actions, but I don't. I think someone else is playing a part in.
Right.
But they're getting something out of it by her creating this reality. I think they're getting something out of it, which is that's. And again, I don't know too much about. There's a big thing about
Agnes
Mephisto.
The Agnes character could play a different role,
Right.
going forward. At some point in the future, that's a theory.
Right.
Which is, she's basically a similar type of witch, I guess. So this is going into
possible. Yeah, it's possible that she's this character.
Yeah, as much as I do know about comic books, this is absolutely taking me down a road that I don't. I don't know all of these side stories, backstories,
and that's what I've said. Like, there's
some of these
different
characters.
Theories as far as some of these characters being comic book characters that, like I was saying before, in our little pre-show, we're getting to it. Like, here's my wheelhouse. We're getting outside of.
Right.
I don't know a lot about these different characters that there's possibility of doing. So I think the end of the season finale, will be the bubble bursting.
And what implications that has.
And I think
that's the end of season 1 or season 2.
But I think there's a universe inside of
the bubble.
Yes. Inside the bubble. I think that bubble bursting is going to cause a fracture in the realities.
Right. And that's what I was saying a couple weeks ago, where I think, because they hinted at it in the first 2, and then especially in the 3rd episode, where something wasn't quite right. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm going, I wonder.
Right.
So don't hate me for this. I don't see this show lasting more than 2 seasons.
I don't know if it's going to last past 1.
Right. So
I think it's exactly
what I do know is that currently Multiverse of Madness and Spider-Man 3 are slated to come out in the spring and then summer of 2022. Which is what tells me that there could, in fact, be a second season, and the way that they're timing everything out, because these people don't mess around with timing.
But I think Aunt Rona's messed up a lot of timelines.
Sure, which is, I think that's why this show was supposed to have come out
right, and the movies
almost a year ago.
Yeah, and the movies were supposed to come out
earlier than they're going to now.
Right.
So that's what leads me to believe, if there is a second season, and I think that there will be, that season will in fact culminate with the breaking of said bubble.
Right.
And then, just a couple of weeks later, Multiverse of Madness will come out.
I think just
because they're so meticulous about the timing of these things.
See, you think there's going to be 2 seasons? I think it's just going to be this one.
It's possible.
I think at the end of this, because by episode 4, again, we have 9 episodes. So we have 5 more episodes, but they've already been like, hey, here's what's, here's the behind the scenes stuff. And it started out with after the second snap and everybody coming back, and
what I haven't seen yet, because again, I know how these people operate from a strategy standpoint.
Right.
On the box office side of things.
Right.
Well, so we're almost positive that there is going to be no tie-in with Black Widow.
No.
For this show.
I don't think that's going to really tie into.
No, because that's going to be all backstory.
Right.
So, what other MCU properties are coming out this year?
Winter Soldier and Falcon. And I hate saying this because I say things weird. Hawkeye.
So he's got his own show.
Those are two, and Loki
Yeah.
are shows coming out that could.
So if this is a one and done thing,
I think Loki's going to tie into this.
then one of the other two will have to tie in because I don't think they're going to want to leave such a big gap
right
in the storyline for a very long period of time.
Well,
because
I think
if they do it right and they have something that ties into a new property,
I think Loki's the only one that can.
Well, I mean, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier absolutely could.
It could, but I think from the trailer that I've seen of Loki, the Loki that's thing is the one from a different reality. It's never mind. I was gonna start going into it. It's the one from the past that's now in the future.
Right.
Whatever.
So you're absolutely right. If one of them has an easier tie-in, it is absolutely Loki. But when is that show scheduled to debut? Because I have a feeling that season finale of whatever it is will closely coincide with the release of Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah. So that's just my thought. The bubble is going to burst. And those are going to be two realities that
it's going to be like I've been theorizing the whole time is we're going to be dealing with an Avengers storyline approximation of Dark Phoenix.
Right. When they've announced that there's not going to be an Avengers movie for this next phase.
Right.
So, I mean, I think they're going to partner up a lot of the characters, but it's not going to be...
Well, what a wonderful way for them to tie in, because now Disney owns Fox.
Yeah.
Fox owns X-Men.
Yeah.
X-Men have a Dark Phoenix.
Yeah.
Now the Avengers have a Dark Phoenix.
Right.
What a great way for them to start tying that together.
Yep. That those are different...
They're different continuities altogether.
Well, and I've seen a kind of rumor as far as people guest starring on WandaVision and being... I don't know the actual actor's name, but he was Quicksilver in the X-Men movies.
Right.
Which would be, hey, here's some different realities. But...
So, there's just... What's cool is there's so many ways to go, and even though you look at one way and you go, yeah, that could absolutely be plausible, but so could these three different ways.
Yeah.
That's what I think is great about this. That's what I'm enjoying about the first... I'll be honest. The first two episodes, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I cannot state this.
What am I watching
more clearly? The heck is going on here?
Yeah, but I liked the... Imagine being the creator, the director,
right,
of this show.
Well, and
how much fun would that be to just be like, hey, I'm doing an old Dick Van Dyke style. Imagine being like in the pitch office. Like, hey, so this is the show that I want to do. I want to do an old style Dick Van Dyke.
Well, and in true,
the last one was like Brady Bunch. Like,
yeah,
you're just an old.
Will they continue down that road? We don't know.
I've already seen that they do like
I know
full
that
house.
Geraldine comes back in episode 7,
but it's like a full house. They do that, and I saw one where she's doing like the Office, Modern Family style. Talking to the camera.
Single camera.
And I was like, that's pretty great. Like that she gets to the newer sitcom. Right. But.
And so like.
I'm in.
And again, in true MCU fashion, they're keeping things very tight-lipped.
Yeah.
As to what's going on. They're not tipping their hand. They don't even have episode names announced. No. And there's only very few of the cast that's been announced.
Right.
For each episode.
No, I'm in. I think this coming Friday is going to be kind of back to what the first
the first couple episodes were like. Yeah, just looking at a couple of like.
I think they're going to be more sitcom.
Yeah. Well, we see, I'm looking right now at a photograph, a set photo of Catherine Hahn, who plays the Agnes character, in like 80s style, like activewear with the headband and the.
I think it's going to be like Who's the Boss.
So I think
style, and then we'll get.
We're seeing just a little peek at what's to come. So we are going to see those different decades still represented in the show. So I think we're still going to see a lot of her fake, her created universe.
Right. Which she has kids now.
Yes, she does.
And what that is going to mean when they are either ripped away from her.
Well, see, there's already a comic storyline that works into this.
Yep, and characters, but it's different layers, and so it's just kind of they become real, and that is the cause of all this.
Right.
And someone manipulating her to essentially create these beings.
Right.
So will they be real? Will they be taken away from her?
Well, see, originally...
And Vision...
He dead.
He is not...
He gone.
He's not part of this.
No.
He's no longer with us.
No.
He's passed away.
He gone.
He has no more vision.
He dead.
Because he's not
Because he's got a gaping hole in his forehead.
I should say he's not alive because he never really was.
It's true. But he's also...
That was a whole other... I need to say it there. Was he actually really ever alive?
As a synthezoid...
Yes.
Which is a word that I can almost never remember. For some reason, I have a hard time remembering the phrase, the term synthezoid, because to me, he's just an android.
He's a robot.
He's a robot person.
But he has emotions, and he's
he's a self-aware robot.
Yeah,
like Ultron.
Right. But
which is
better.
We're just happy that Vision was fighting for our side.
Right.
As long as he was.
Right.
Because we saw what happened when
the
robots become self-aware and don't fight on our side.
Yeah. I feel like a real dumb head, by the way, because I recently rewatched Age of Ultron.
Me too.
And there are so many endgame...
Right.
Like, you want to go back and watch the movie and go, oh, yeah, they said it.
Yeah.
These are the things that are going to happen.
Well,
and it was like, what's the last movie going to be called? And it was like a conversation. What do you think it's going to be called? He says it.
Yeah.
Word for word.
Right.
Not like, hey, the last movie is going to be called this.
No.
But Tony Stark is like, that up there was talking about Thanos, and that's the end game.
That's the end game.
I was like...
Right. No, so I did go back and rewatch Age of Ultron just to familiarize myself, refamiliarize myself with how we got these characters.
Right.
And my next cinematic journey is I'm gonna go. It's great if you have the Disney Plus app. They now have an entire section. But they've always had the Marvel section and the Star Wars section and all that. But in that Marvel section now, they have the MCU in chronological order.
Fantastic.
So starting with the exception, I don't think Far From Home is on the platform at the moment. But yeah, everything from Captain America through Endgame.
Nice.
So... makes it nice and easy.
So it's chronological in the fact of when they came out, not when they take place.
No. When they take place, so not when they came out. Here, I'll show you.
So, which is going to be the first one? Would it be Captain America?
Yeah.
And then Captain Marvel. Mm-hmm. And then Black Panther?
Here.
There's part of Black Panther. The beginning of Black Panther takes place in like.
So yeah, Captain America, then Captain Marvel, then Iron Man, then Iron Man 2, then Thor.
Okay.
Then the Avengers, then Dark World, Iron Man 3, Winter Soldier, Guardians 2, and then Age of Ultron.
Nice.
And then going into
and it's like I'm giving
Black Panther, Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I'm trying to give like Age of Ultron. It was one of those things where I always, when it came out, I was like, it's not as good as the first Avengers movie. It was like Iron Man 2 to me.
Right.
It wasn't bad. It just wasn't my favorite. And going back and watching it, I'm liking it more and more.
Yeah.
The more time.
Well, because
now watching it back and you go,
because you've seen
where things go,
what happened because of what happened there
in that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's great stuff.
Anyways, go watch WandaVision.
Yeah. Do that thing.
And watch us next week every Wednesday morning.
Yeah.
8 a.m.
Sometimes better than others. But always on Wednesday.
It's like our political signs.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Sometimes better than others.
Sometimes better than others.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of your week. And until next time, he is Tucker.
And he is the Beard.
And we are out.